All right. So, do you remember when we talked about right in the beginning that you should be thinking of a group that you're teaching now the semester, or maybe two groups that you're teaching the semester? This comes the practical time now. So we'll be talking about the techniques that we have, ways to deal with on-the-spot feedback. So and I would like you to think of these groups. Can you use these techniques with them? Is it appropriate? Is it not? Can you change anything? Right? You're going to see that these techniques, they aim at not interfering or not intervening that much with what the student is saying. The focus is that we don't want to take the lead in our students' speaking time. We want to guide them. Yeah. So some of them are quite simple in a way. Yeah. And some of them you have to, let's say, practice a little with your learners. You're going to see that the very first technique that we're going to talk about is a very common one. It's the one that actually parents do with their own kids. Yeah. When they're very young and they are still mispronouncing things, or yeah. So it's reformulation. It's the one that the teacher corrects by repeating what the student said, in a way that the focus is not the mistake. So the example here is, my brother like basketball, the student says, and the teacher replies, oh, he likes basketball. Oh, me too. So the focus is not the mistake, but just the idea of moving on with the conversation, right? The second one has to do with gestures, right? With your hand. And it could be used to indicate the wrong tense, so present, past, this idea, even future, right? Or the wrong order. Think of the first one. If a student says something like, oh, I used my phone last night. Oh, so you just show the hand gesture to indicate the past. I used my phone. Hopefully the student will say, right? I used my phone last night. Or wrong order. If the student says, for example, here is a city beautiful. So you just uh, show them like, here is a beautiful city. Change the words, right? Change the words. Beautiful city, right? The third technique is also connected to your hand, but in this case, your fingers, actually. It's called finger correction, and it's the one that the teacher counts out the words that the student has said, right? Using their hands, using their fingers, sorry. So the fingers represent the words. So the teacher can show in which finger, in which word, the mistake was made. This can be done for many different reasons. For example, think of number one. I went to park. If a student says something like this, there is a missing word. So you can say, for example, you can show students, I went to park. And then you can say, what's missing? I went to park. And hopefully the student will say, the park, or yeah, they will identify that there is a word missing here, right? A second example would be using the idea of verb tense as well. So you want to show that you want to show them that there is a mistake in the finger that you're showing. So you say, for example, they say, I played soccer last week. So I soccer last week. And then hopefully they will understand that there is a problem with the word itself, play. So I played soccer last week. It could also be done to talk about pronunciation, right? When you want to focus on getting students to pronounce the linking sound. So if a student says, for example, can you play the piano? You show them, right? Can you play the piano? And you show them like this. Can you? Can you? Can you play the piano? Can you? You show them that your fingers are together. So it shows that the sounds are linked. So can you play the piano, right? This can be done for a variety of things. It's a great technique but you have to show them, students, how to use them, right? But yeah, if they understand the concept, it's great. They will love the idea, and you can use this for many different reasons. The fourth technique is mouthing. It's also connected to the idea of pronunciation. It's the one that the teacher doesn't really say anything, just mouths a word. So let's say the student says vegetable, and you want to correct, but you don't want to say the word. You just use your mouth, and you just mouth the stress. And they understand it's vegetable, right? It's great for pronunciation, and it's great if you don't want to interfere in their conversation or when they're speaking. It's very distant in a way, but they get the idea, which is great. That's the focus, that teachers don't interrupt their speaking, right? The last one is one that we also use frequently, right? It's the echo correction. The teacher repeats the mistake with a rising intonation so as to show learners that the problem happens there in the moment of their intonation, of the teacher's intonation. And then hopefully the students will correct themselves. So the example is, he don't like it. Don't. He doesn't like it. So by giving this rising intonation to the word, you show them that the mistake happens there in that word, and this way they'll be able to identify that the problem happens in that word and change it. So there are many techniques that you can use, but did you think of the groups that you're teaching now? Can you use these techniques with any of the groups that you're using? That's the objective here, is to think critically and identify the ones that we can use with the learners that we have.